Hello, guys, and welcome to the first episode of Question Block. And in this series, I ask a question each week and then respond to your answers in the videos. So the question this week was, what features would you like to see added to a Nintendo Switch 2? And Starcrotix said, themes. Seriously though, I'd love to see some music in the home and eShop menus and give the system some personality. I definitely agree with that. I feel like the home menu in eShop definitely kind of feel a little lifeless without any music or themes, and it's definitely something that the Switch was lacking in. Like, I feel like the Switch menu definitely needed, like, more personality, or at the very least, themes. Is like having different themes based on different colors, patterns, or even different games would be really nice to see. So I think that would be really nice to see that in the next Nintendo console. So J to the P Moreno said, aside from making themes available, it'd be a cool feature to use snapshots you take and use them for your own custom menu theme. I think that would be really interesting, and that kind of goes off of like, what I was saying with themes. It would kind of give the menu more personality, and then it would also allow you to personalize it more. Like, I feel like it would be really nice if it gave you a lot of customization and like options so you could personalize your console and your menu and everything. I think that would be really nice overall. Though I feel like using any screenshot as like a background might be a bit weird like for some things, but it could work for like a lot of different games. Like, let's say if you have like a Breath of the Wild background or Super Mario Odyssey, and of course I would have Paper Mario. But yeah, I think that would be a really cool feature. So Lawrence M said, 3DS and Wii U style of UI. And I know that's kind of a weird one, but I kind of agree with that. Like, I kind of agree that the 3DS and Wii U have like a better UI than the Switch. I mean, sure, the Switch is snappier and it's quicker to get into the game, but I think it would be nice to see like the skeuomorphic aesthetic and kind of like a more natural aesthetic, like aside from like the corporate aesthetic that the Switch kind of has. I think it would be nice if it was more bubbly or natural and more inviting. I think that would be really nice to see overall. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And the next one is from Pokemon Fortress, and they said a theme shop, camera app, Netflix, and maybe Street Pass as well. And yeah, like if they were adding themes, it would make sense to have like a theme shop and everything, but yeah, a camera. So I know you just said camera app, but I think it would be really interesting if they actually put a camera on the Switch too. Like, and you could do like different like AR. I could imagine they could do like different AR related things, kind of like the 3DS did. I think there's a lot of possibilities, especially now that AR has been more developed and everything. It's like a more developed technology than it was back in 2011. So I feel like there's a lot of potential with what they could do with it. I know like you could really just take photos from like your smartphone and everything, but they could incorporate a camera on the Switch too to actually kind of like work with the games and everything, kind of like how some of the 3DS and DSiWare games did. So I think that would be a pretty interesting feature, and Netflix and other streaming services would definitely be welcome to see. I know I'm kind of getting tired of this, like the fact that there's like a million streaming services, but it would be nice to have the option to watch things on the Switch. I know there's already Hulu, and then you could use YouTube on the Switch, but there's really not that much in terms of variety when watching content on the Switch. And the final one here was, yeah, Street Pass. I think it would be really cool to see something like that implemented again. I'm not sure how they would implement it, but due to the fact that like social media is really popular, and like, I mean, the Switch in general is like a pretty popular console as well. Like, let's say the Switch 2 has something like Street Pass. I feel like that could be fairly popular. Like, I'm not sure, like, it might be handled a lot differently nowadays, but since like I feel like people don't really go out and about with like video game consoles quite as much as they did with like the 3DS and the DS and different things. So it might be harder to get like a signal, I guess, but I think it would still be nice to see as like a feature and everything that Nintendo would bring back in a future console. So Davey Gamer 456 said badges, so the Switch menu can feel a bit more alive. And I definitely agree. I know I keep like agreeing with like the theme things and everything, but yeah, just anything to make the Switch menu more lively and have more personality to it. Like I know Nintendo has been doing something like kind of like with your profile where you have like different icons based on different games. Like if you ever saw my Switch profile, it's Goombario from Paper Mario, since they added like Paper Mario 64 icons. I like that they're doing that, but I wish they went a step farther and did things like badges and like I mentioned earlier with themes and everything. But yeah, both themes and badges would be great to see. So LAS Creations said, the return of an actual virtual console where you buy retro games instead of paying for a subscription of them. And yeah, I think that would be much better than how they're handling like the core structure of Nintendo Switch Online. I mean, the selection of Nintendo Switch Online is getting much better now. Like, I do feel like there's a somewhat decent variety of games now. But the problem is, you don't actually get to keep those games, and you have to keep paying for a subscription. So I feel like it would be nice to actually be able to download those games. And kind of going into the next one here with the Krusty Koopa saying, an idea I've had for a while is allowing the purchase of classic games while having a subscription as an option. I think it would be a good compromise as it gives the best of both worlds. Purchasing it outright lets you have ownership of the game, while subscribing to the service lets you try out games that you wouldn't have thought of playing. And yeah, that's kind of the idea that I had with like kind of combining the ideas of Virtual Console and Nintendo Switch Online. I think that could work really well, and I feel like it's definitely like like you said, it's like the best of both worlds here. Like, for people who don't really want to download like many retro games onto their console and just want to try out like a few games, they could just pay for the subscription. Or like people who actually want to download those games or have them forever, like permanently on their console, should have the option to do that. Like, I'd love to have the option to just straight up download Paper Mario 64 and Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga onto my Switch. That would be amazing. But like, right now, Nintendo, it's just kind of weird what they're doing, like, with the subscription and everything. Like, it's not, like, that bad, but, like, considering the fact that these games will likely be inaccessible at some point, due to the fact that they're probably going to shut down the service, is pretty concerning. So it would be nice to see if they added, like, a download option to this service in the future. So SAAA said, they should make an ultimate backwards compatibility machine. It can take any handheld cartridge from the Game Boy all the way to the Switch. And in dock mode, it could take any console disc or cartridge from the NES to the Wii U. That would be awesome. Okay, wow, this is a pretty crazy one. You know, I actually had an idea like this a while ago, where you could, like, play, like, various, like, handheld cartridges, like the DS, in Game Boy and 3DS and different things like that, and it would be like a thing where you could like connect to your Switch via USB or like Bluetooth. But I think it would be really cool that, I mean, it's very unlikely, like Nintendo probably wouldn't do something like this, but it would be really cool to see. It would like honestly be like amazing if they like actually had like an all-in-one backwards compatibility like device or something like that. I'm thinking like some kind of device you use to connect to your Switch, or like Switch 2 that you could use to like play like older games and different things. It's highly unlikely. It's probably never going to happen. If it ever happens, it's going to be like 3DS and DS games. But that would probably be the extent of it. But I think it would be really cool if they actually like allowed you to like play various retro games and then stream it over to your console. I think that's like a really interesting concept. And it's probably like extremely hard to pull off. And realistically, it would probably be like $700 if they were to sell something like that. But it is a pretty interesting idea. Not very likely, but an interesting concept. So next up, Agent Alaska 9000 said, "This would be more like an improvement to an existing feature, but I want the online connection to be better. The only game it's perfect in is Mario Kart 8. Everything else, like 3D World and NSO, have this delay that really shouldn't be there." Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like they should actually be using dedicated servers rather than peer-to-peer. Like, I hope with like the next console, Nintendo actually starts using dedicated servers for their games. Like, I know they have been improving the online infrastructure of Nintendo Switch Online, but I feel like dedicated servers would vastly improve things. Because the problem with peer-to-peer is the fact that you rely on, like, everyone's internet. And there's always this scenario where someone has, like, very, like, poor internet. So, and it just ruins the experience. So I really hope Nintendo, like, switches to, like, the actual servers and everything for the Switch 2. But yeah, so next up, Mevins said, "What about a second screen attachment? That way they could include DS games on Nintendo Switch Online." That is a really interesting concept. And if they were to do that, I feel like it could actually be like a pretty big mechanic or a pretty big gimmick that they could use. They could actually use it in like various games on the Switch 2. I mean, it would kind of limit the compatibility of some games, because I'm sure there are going to be some games around the Switch 2 that will be on both consoles, so I'm not exactly sure how that would work if they were to do something like this, but it is a pretty cool idea if they were going to do like a second screen. And like with DS games on NSO, even if they weren't going to do a second screen attachment or anything like that, I feel like they could still pull it off on the Switch. Because you could technically have the screens side by side, like some emulators display the DS screens, and you could also have that option on the Wii U just to display the screens side by side. Or if you're playing in docked, they could have like some kind of feature where you either use like some kind of like touchpad controller, or like actually use like gyro or a pointer to use the touchscreen. I know that would be a little awkward, but I feel like they could pull it off in some form, like either if it's like what I just mentioned, or like the touchpad thing, or something like that. But yeah, I think DS games on Nintendo Switch Online could actually work in the future, and I'd actually want to see them there, especially because there's games like New Super Mario Bros. DS and Super Mario 64 DS and Bowser's Inside Story that I really like. So yeah, so Bommy Man said, if they aren't ever gonna make a YouTube channel, they could add in a music app at the bottom of the screen where the screenshots and controllers and such are, where you can listen to the music from the games that you've played, even while your console's off, like in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I don't think anyone would use it, but it's something. Yeah, I think it would be nice if Nintendo, in some form, allowed you to listen to the soundtracks for their games. Like, if they were to do this, like, I hope it would be, like, most of their first-party games, rather than a very limited selection, like they tend to do with things like that sometimes. But I think that if they weren't gonna do, like, a music YouTube channel, it would be a bit awkward, but it could work. It would be a pretty interesting feature, but yeah, I don't think many people would use it. But finally, the last one is from Infinite Edgy. So basically they said, basically a way to play GameCube games and other games on the device. And with GameCube games, I definitely agree. Like, I'm glad that Metroid Prime Remastered got released and everything, and I'm hoping that there will be more GameCube games, like, once the Switch 2 launches or eventually comes. I hope there will be more GameCube games and GameCube remasters, because I'd love to see games like Thousand Year Door, Kirby Air Ride, F-Zero GX. I know there were the rumors recently, but that would be really cool to see. But yeah, there's a lot of GameCube games that I'd like to see. So I hope Nintendo keeps releasing these remasters, or at least like ports of GameCube games, like to make them more accessible. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities of what they could do with the Switch 2, from more personalities in the menus, to things such as like improvements to Nintendo Switch Online. There's a lot of things they could do here. So the question for next week is, what are some of your last minute predictions for the Mario movie? Let me know down in the comments below. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server if you want to. Goodbye.